Well, the weather outside is frightful. Da da dee da da. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rainer, and this is Rainier Books. I don't want to talk about the snow, about the snowy weather outside. I show you just a couple of seconds at the end of the video how much snow we have here in Stockholm. But this is a reaction video to the Women's Prize long list that came out yesterday when I was on the train, while I was on the train from a place called Hässleholm in southern Sweden up north to Stockholm, following the snowy clouds that rained down, that poured down over the country and gave it a white surface all over almost, and still snowing. And yeah, but let's get to the Women's Prize and let's do this quickly. March is the month of women history in reading. And March is also the month of Women's Day, which is today, actually. And so this is a very important day, and this is a very important prize, the Women's Prize, and let's get to it, to the long list. Some of the books, I'm not satisfied with this long list, that's to begin with, because my books, the books that I predicted, how many of them are really on the long list? Well, are there 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, no, 2. 2 of the books that I predicted are on the long list. And I think that when we predict long lists, at least in my case, I predict not the long list that the jury, because I don't know the folks in the jury, so I don't predict what they are going to give as a long list. What I predict is more my favorites. I pick my favorites. And so I like my favorites. And so I have 16 books that I like on my prediction video, which you should see. Because I like my long list actually much better than the one that I received yesterday. Nothing against the wonderful authors, against their work, but there aren't so many books that I'm going to read. I would have loved to see Celeste Ng and her novel Our Missing Hearts. I would have loved to see Gabriel Zevin and Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. I would love to have seen the National Book Award winner The Rabbit Hutch by Tess Gunty. I would have loved to see Jennifer Egan's The Candy House. I would have loved to see Camilla Shamsi's Best of Friends. I would have loved to see Night Crawling by Layla Motley, but not a single of them made it on the long list. What made it on the long list was Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, former winner of the Women's Prize, and that's good. I haven't read it yet, but I trust my fellow booktubers. This was getting brave and beautiful, raving reviews. Come on. And I guess it's a very good book. This is on the long list, I predicted that. But all the other ones that I showed you, this one's here, didn't make it. Maybe Layla Motley doesn't need it. Maybe Camilla Shamsi doesn't need it because she already won it. Egan won the Pulitzer. Gunty won the National Book Award. And and so on and so on and so on. But let's get to the long list and the books that are really interesting me. I think there were 3 or 4 of these books that actually interested me. So let's get to them. First one is here, Glory by No Violet Bulawayo from Zimbabwe, which is a fable. The book was, was it shortlisted for the Booker Prize? I think it was last year. So this is a famous book. This is already an international bestseller. It's not a big surprise that it's on the list. Number 2 is Homesick by Jennifer Kraft from the United States. This is actually a very interesting book because I didn't know about the title, didn't know anything, but I read a few things about Jennifer Kraft, who is a very famous translator. She translates from Polish, from Ukrainian, and from the Argentinian Spanish. And she actually wrote this book already in 2014 under the Spanish title Serpientes y Escaleras, and then published it, in 2020 she was awarded the William Saroyan International Prize for Writing for Homesick, and now 3 years later, she's nominated for the Women's Prize, which is a surprise to me, but apparently it was eligible for some reason, although it's already 9 years old. I didn't know anything about it. It's a biography, a memoir of 2 girls from Oklahoma, and one of them becomes a translator, and that is Jennifer, very close to Jennifer Kraft, the author. I'm not that interested in reading that. The next one is The Dog of the North by Elizabeth Mackenzie, which is a novel about, I think it's a bus or an RV. The Dog of the North is a vehicle, a borrowed van, and, well, sounds like a road movie a little bit, like a road novel. Not that interested. I read so many of them. Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow is the next book, which is a generational story from an Afro-American family. Then we have Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes from the United Kingdom. Natalie Haynes always writes, or she has recently written about Greek and the classic Greek mythology, and she does it again here in this book, which is a novel about Medusa and Poseidon, and no, it's not my piece of cake. The next one is a book that's the first one that I'm really in for. It's Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks from the UK. A book about underground, outskirts of London, underground music club and the lifestyle and the life in London, but also about Jamaica, about the Caribbean, because the character travels to the Caribbean, where a lot of Londoners are born and raised, or second generation people, and it has also some tension in it, and it ends with explosive consequences for the main character that I'm interested in, because I'm a great London fan, but I also want to read about the diverse, about the new, about the current London. So I'm in for that. Wandering Souls by Cecile Pym from the UK, never heard about that one. An extraordinary and heartbreaking debut novel about the bonds that connect people even when separated by seas or death itself. Is a story about Vietnamese immigrants to Britain who came from Hong Kong and via the United States. Is also a little bit of the life story of Cecile Pym. Sounds very autobiographical in that case. Not really so interesting. I've read so many stories about that. Nothing against Cecile Pym, but it's not something that ignites the fire for me directly. The Bandit Queens by Penny Perini Schroff from the US. Could be interesting. It is compared here to, I've never heard about it before, compared here to My Sister the Serial Killer, which is a book I listened to as an audiobook. And it's the same, not the same story, but it's a story about women who have decided to become widows who kill their husbands. And this could be comic and funny, but it's not a book that I want to run out to the next bookstore and buy. So I'm kind of negative, am I? Well, I am here in this case, but it's as I said, it's nothing against the authors and their work. It's not my piece of cake. Not so much interesting to me. Then we have Pod by Laline Paul with a double L at the end from the UK. She's a best-selling author. I never heard of her. She returns with an immersive and transformative new novel of an ocean world and its extraordinary creatures that is increasingly haunted by the cruelty and ignorance of the human race. Certainly important, certainly timely in our time where we destroy the planet more and more and more, but even that I pass on. The next one I don't pass on, it has pass in the title, but I don't pass on it. It's called Trespasses by Louise Kennedy from Ireland. That was a book I actually wanted to suggest for my prediction video. It fell short. It was number 17 or something in that list of 16 that I gave you a few weeks ago. So this is interesting to me. I want to read it. Already ordered it from the library here in Stockholm. It's a story about the troubles in Northern Ireland, about a woman called Kushla who teaches the vocabulary of 7-year-old children now, includes phrases like petrol bomb and rubber bullets and stuff like that, and about the world collapsing and a world falling apart and how you react, how you live in that world in a very known historical surrounding. But that is interesting to me. I want to know more, I want to learn more about the conflict in Northern Ireland. Then we have Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, which is a book that I'm going to read, definitely. It's on my TBR for the next months. Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris from the United Kingdom. Never heard of that. As many of booktubers, there's so many reaction videos already on the Women's Prize, and that's beautiful to see that this award is so exciting for so many booktubers, for so many booktuber friends out there. But I realized when I watched some of the videos, this morning, that almost everybody was surprised about a lot of titles. So Black Butterflies, I was very surprised about this one. Priscilla Morris, never heard of it. Priscilla Morris has a background in Bosnia-Herzegovina, and this novel actually is about Sarajevo in 1992, the capital of Bosnia-Herzegovina. It's about the war, about black ashes, about Zora and her friends who are forced to rebuild themselves and inspired by real life. This book is inspired by real-life accounts of the longest siege in modern warfare, only 30 years ago. I remember it very well when there was this war in Europe 30 years ago. Now we have another war in Europe, and certainly there's going to be a lot of literature in a few years about that one too. Unfortunately, we could have lived without these novels, I would say, but since the things happened, so it's very important that we also get literature about it. But actually, I would love to have no literature about the Ukraine war or about the war in former Yugoslavia and all the people who died alive. I'm a fan by Sheena Patel from the UK, who was one of the titles that actually were also in the vicinity of getting on my prediction list. This is portray a power struggle at the heart of human relationships to those in the wider world, offering a devastating critique of social media excess and patriarchal systems. Sounds interesting to me. It's one of those titles that I put on the periphery, that I say, okay, maybe after Demon Copperhead, after Trespasses and Fire Rush. Then we have a former winner of the Women's Prize. She won it, I think, 2 years ago. It should be one of the big favorites. Maggie O'Farrell and The Marriage Portrait, which again, Maggie O'Farrell, who is an amazing writer. I read Hamnet and I loved it. Although I usually don't read books that play in the 1700th century, or the 1600th century in that case. It's winter 1561. Lucrezia, Duchess of Ferrara, she's married to a guy called Alfonso, and Alfonso wants to kill her. And it's about this marriage. It's a portrait of a marriage in... and it's unforgettable reimagining of the life of a young woman whose proximity to power places her in mortal danger. I decided not to do this book because I did Hamnet, I read Hamnet, and there are so many other books, so I skipped this one as well. But the next one, and here is, I'm sure that Jolene is going to read this, Bookworm Adventure Girl. Hi, if you watch this video. Children of Paradise by Camilla Grudova, if you haven't read that already. That's a Canadian novel on the long list. That's beautiful because Canadian books have been neglected almost the last couple of years, and don't speak of Australia or New Zealand. They never get on long lists anymore. But here's a Canadian novel by Camilla Grudova, and I like it. It's about a cinema. It's about children. It's called Children of Paradise, and this is about the cinema called the Paradise, where a young woman called Holly works, about the life of these workers, about the tight-knit colleagues, about dreadful lonely weeks that pass by, and she longs for the approval of the colleagues, a silent voyeur. And so when she finally gains contact to those friends, the trust of this cryptic band of oddballs, Holly transforms from silent drudge to rebellious insider, and gradually she too becomes a part. And she's unearthing the secrets of the paradise of this cinema. I love that idea of a cinema, of having a novel set around movies and about a cinema, about a place that lives. I am in for that one too. And the last one already is Cursed Breath by Sophie McIntosh, a British writer. Elodie is the baker's wife, plain and remarkable, ignored. She burns with a secret hunger to the extraordinary. One day, a charismatic new couple appear in town, and Elodie quickly falls under their spell, and then it's going to get dangerous and interesting. A teenage boy throws himself into the bonfire at the Midsummer Feast. Oh my gosh. Audacious and mesmerizing Cursed Breath is a tale of a breath. Is a town... Breath? Cursed Breath. No, Cursed Bread. Cursed Bread. Sorry! Is a tale of a town gripped by madness, envy like poison in the blood, and desire that burns and consumes. Sounds a little bit like Stephen King-ish? Well, I don't know. But I'm not in for that. So the books which I'm in for on that long list, not many, I'm sorry, not many are, but I'm going to name them in the end. Once again here, Fire Rush by Jacqueline Crooks. Trespasses by Louise Kennedy, Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, Children of Paradise by Camilla Grudova. These are the books that I want to read, 4 out of 16. On my long list, I would love to read all the 16. So that's a difference. Tell me all about your wishes, about your preferences on that long list in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel and make sure you stay tuned to the next video, which is going to be, well, it's going to be nominees for the best true crime novel from the Edgar Awards. But then after that, I give you a review, a single review of Patrick Radden-Keefe's non-fiction account called Empire of Pain, the secret history of the Sackler dynasty. And then, well, we'll see. Thank you very much for watching. So bye. Have a good evening. A good Women's Day. Good morning. You guys tuned in to see my reaction video to the long list of the Women's Prize, but we are fighting with other circumstances here in Sweden. So in order to give you the reaction video to the long list of the Women's Prize, I have to get through this blizzard that is on Stockholm right now. I'm going to show you some snow pictures during this video and to see how we live right now. It's really pretty tough. And well, I try to get to work now, and then later on I tell you what I think about the long list. Let's do this.